A cheerful woman walked into the pharmacy with confidence and asked the clerk, "Hi, do you have deodorant for, well, your bottom?" The clerk blinked. Um, Bottom deodorant? Yes, the woman said proudly. "I've been buying it here for months." Slightly confused, the clerk smiled politely. "Let me grab the pharmacist real quick." The pharmacist came out and asked, "Can you describe the product?" The woman nodded. "It's in a little tube. You twist the bottom and it goes up. You apply it to the bottom, just like it says on the label." Still puzzled, the pharmacist asked, "Do you have the container with you?" "Of course," she said, digging into her purse and handing it over. The pharmacist turned it over, read the label, and tried not to laugh. "Ma'am, this is a regular stick of underarm deodorant." The woman snatched it back, read the label aloud, and said with a shrug, "See? It says right here, to apply, push up bottom." A couple went to a bar and had some drinks. Immediately, the woman saw a familiar face nearby. She recognized the man as a past boyfriend of hers. The woman pointed him out to her husband. "Honey," she raised a finger to point out the man, "that guy over there has been drinking like an addict since we split years ago." Her husband responded, "Now that's just silly. No one celebrates that much." The manager was getting worried. One of his best workers hadn't shown up for the morning shift, and no call or message had come through. With a big project deadline looming, he decided to call the employee's house to check in. A small, shy voice answered on the other end. "Hello?" "Hi there. Is your dad around?" the manager asked gently. "Yes," the child whispered. "Can I talk to him?" "No." "Okay. Is your mom nearby?" "Yes." "Can I speak with her?" "No." Now the manager's concern grew. "Is anyone else with you?" "Yes, a police officer." "Can I talk to the officer?" "No, he's busy." "Busy with what?" "Talking to mom and dad and a firefighter." Alarm bells ringing, the manager asked, "What's that noise in the background?" "A helicopter." The manager's heart sank. "What's happening there?" The child paused, then giggled softly. "The rescue team just landed the helicopter." The manager, holding his breath, asked, "What are they looking for?" The little voice smiled and said, "Me." Shortly after a British Airways flight had reached its cruising altitude, the captain announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain. Welcome to Flight 293, non-stop, from London Heathrow to New York. The weather ahead is good, so we should have a smooth, uneventful flight. So, sit back, relax, and oh, my God." Silence followed. Some moments later, the captain came back on the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry if I scared you. While I was talking to you, a flight attendant accidentally spilled coffee in my lap. You should see the front of my trousers." From the back of the plane, an Irish passenger yelled, "For the love of Jesus, you should see the back of mine." Every night, Harry goes out drinking. And every night, his wife, Louise, yells at him. One day, one of Louise's friends suggests that she try a different tack. "Welcome him home with a kiss and some loving words," she says. "He might change his ways." That night, Harry stumbles back home as usual. But instead of berating him, Louise helps him into an easy chair, puts his feet up on the ottoman, removes his shoes, and gently massages his neck. "It's late," she whispers. "I think we should go upstairs to bed now. Don't you?" "Might as well," says Harry. "I'll get in trouble if I go home." Little Johnny had a habit of walking in on his parents at the most inopportune times. One day, he walked in on his mother while she was in the bathtub. He pointed to her lower abdomen and asked, "What's that big fuzzy patch?" His mother, trying to keep things simple, replied, "It's a bush." The next day, little Johnny walked in on his father while he was in the shower. He noticed something hanging between his father's legs and asked, "What's that big long thing?" His father, equally nonchalant, replied, "It's a snake." A few days later, little Johnny walked in on his mother in the bathtub again. This time he pointed to her chest and asked, "What are those two baggy things hanging above your belly button?" His mother, sticking to the theme, said, "Those are headlights." A couple of weeks later, little Johnny walked in on his parents while they were being interviewed. Without hesitation, he yelled, "Mom, turn on your headlights! The snake is crawling into your bush!" A married couple decided to spend the night of their 20th anniversary alone, with the husband planning a special night for his wife of many years. When the big night arrived, he surprised his lady with a beautiful limo for the evening. Inside the limo were chocolate-dipped strawberries, champagne, and tickets to a show. After the show, the husband took his wife to an expensive restaurant where they enjoyed a wonderful meal. At the end of the evening, they journeyed home. And to the wife's delight, her husband brought out a small wrapped box and gave it to her. She gasped and tore into the wrapping. Inside the box were two perfectly round aspirins. "Oh, honey, I don't have a headache," she stated. The husband smiled. "Gotcha." A southern minister was completing a temperance sermon. With great expression, he said, "If I had all the beer in the world, I'd take it and pour it into the river." With even greater emphasis, he said, "And if I had all the wine in the world, I'd take it and pour it into the river." And finally, he cried, "And if I had all the whiskey in the world, I'd take it and pour it into the river." Sermon complete. He then sat down. After a few moments, the song leader stood very cautiously and announced with a smile, "For our closing song, let us sing hymn 365, Shall We Gather at the River?" A 6-year-old and a 4-year-old are raking the yard. The 6-year-old asks, "You know what? I think it's about time we started learning to cuss." The 4-year-old nods his head in approval. The 6-year-old continues, "When we go in for breakfast, I'm gonna say something with hell, and you say something with a." The 4-year-old agrees with enthusiasm. When the mother walks into the kitchen and asks the 6-year-old what he wants for breakfast, he replies, Mom, I guess I'll have some Cheerios." Whack! He flies out of his chair, tumbles across the kitchen floor, gets up, and runs upstairs crying his eyes out, with his mother in hot pursuit, slapping his rear with every step. His mom locks him in his room and shouts, "You can stay there until I let you out." She then comes back downstairs, looks at the 4-year-old, and asks with a stern voice, "And what do you want for breakfast, young man?" "I don't know," he blubbers, "but you can bet your ass it won't be Cheerios." Yesterday, my son emailed me asking why I didn't do something useful with my time. Like sitting around playing on my computer is not a good thing, I asked. Talking about my doing something useful seems to be his favorite topic of conversation. He said he was only thinking of me, he said, and suggested that I go down to the senior center and hang out with the men. I did this, and when I got home last night, I decided to play a prank on him. I emailed him and told him that I had joined a parachute club. He replied, "Are you nuts? You are 60 years old, and now you're going to start jumping out of airplanes." I told him that I even got a membership card and emailed a copy to him. He immediately telephoned me and yelled, "Good grief, Mom, where are your glasses? This is a membership to a prostitute club, not a parachute club." Oh, man, I'm in trouble again. I said I really don't know what to do. I signed up for 5 jumps a week. The line went quiet, and his friend picked up the phone and said that my son had fainted. Life as a senior citizen is not getting any easier, but sometimes it can be fun. A young newlywed couple wanted to join a church. The pastor told them, "We have a special requirement for new members. You must abstain from intimacy for 2 full weeks." The couple agreed and came back after 2 weeks. The pastor asked, "Well, how did it go?" The husband sighed. "Pastor, we tried. We really did. But we didn't make it." "What happened?" the pastor asked. The man explained, "My wife was reaching for a can of corn on the top shelf. She dropped it, and when she bent down to pick it up, I just couldn't help myself. I was overcome with desire, and, well, it happened right there." The pastor, clearly unimpressed, said, "I'm sorry, but you're not welcome in this church." The man shrugged and said, "That's okay. We're not welcome at the grocery store anymore either. Tag someone who'd probably fail the corn test too." A young woman went to confession, looking a bit flustered. "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned," she said. The priest gently replied, "Go ahead, my child. Confess your sins and be forgiven." She took a breath and said, "Last night, my boyfriend and I, well, we made passionate love 7 times." The priest paused, clearly deep in thought. After a moment, he said, "All right, I want you to go home, squeeze 7 lemons into a glass, and drink the juice." The young woman blinked. "Will that cleanse me of my sins?" He smiled and said, "No, but it might wipe that grin off your face." A young woman went to confession, looking a bit flustered. "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned," she said. The priest gently replied, "Go ahead, my child. Confess your sins and be forgiven." She took a breath and said, "Last night, my boyfriend and I, well, we made passionate love 7 times." The priest paused, clearly deep in thought. After a moment, he said, "All right, I want you to go home, squeeze 7 lemons into a glass, and drink the juice." The young woman blinked. "Will that cleanse me of my sins?" He smiled and said, "No, but it might wipe that grin off your face." A mom comes home from work and notices her kids peeking out from behind the couch, clearly freaked out. She asks, "What's going on?" One of the kids says, "Aunt Sally was here, and she didn't have any clothes on." Shocked, the mom rushes to the bedroom and finds her husband lying on the bed, sweaty and flustered. "What is going on?" she asks. He pants. I think I'm having a heart attack." She says, "Oh my gosh, I'm calling 911." As she heads to grab her phone, she opens the bathroom closet and finds Aunt Sally, hiding, also in the nude. Without missing a beat, the mom gives her a slap and says, "Unbelievable, my husband is having a heart attack, and you're running around scaring the kids?" After a long night of making love, the man notices a photo of another guy on the woman's nightstand. He starts to worry. "Is this your husband?" he asks nervously. "No, silly," she replies, snuggling closer. "Your boyfriend, then?" "No, not at all," she says, nibbling on his ear. "Is it your father or your brother?" he asks, hoping for reassurance. "No, no, no, you're so hot when you're jealous," she giggles. Frustrated, he finally demands, "Then who is he?" She leans in and whispers, "That's me, before the surgery." 3 men were on their way to heaven, but God said he would only let in the one who had the worst death. The first man said, "Well, I was heading home to my apartment because I suspected my wife was cheating on me. When I got to my place on the 3rd floor, my wife was in the shower, but I saw a guy hanging from the window ledge. I stepped on his fingers, but he wouldn't let go, so I grabbed a hammer and smashed his fingers until he fell. But he still didn't die. He landed in some bushes, so I dragged the refrigerator over and threw it down on him. I was so shocked by what I'd done, I had a heart attack and died." The second man said, "I was climbing down from my apartment on the 4th floor when I tripped and ended up hanging from a window ledge. Suddenly, this guy comes over and starts stepping on my fingers for no reason. I held on as long as I could, but then he smashed my fingers with a hammer. I fell but survived by landing in the bushes. Just when I thought I was safe, a refrigerator came flying down and crushed me." The third man said, "Imagine how you'd feel if you were hiding inside a refrigerator because you were having an affair with some guy's wife. and then he throws the fridge out the window, trying to kill an innocent guy. A man went to his doctor for his annual checkup, looking a little worried. The first thing the doctor asked was if anything was bothering him. "Well, doc, to be honest, yes," the patient replied. "I've been getting so forgetful lately. I can't remember where I parked my car, whether I've already written that letter, or even where I'm going. And when I get there, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do. I'm at my wit's end, doc. What can I do about it?" The doctor paused for a moment, then smiled and said, "Simple. Pay me in advance." Now that's one way to deal with forgetfulness. The airport security question you never expected. A lady was scheduled to fly from North Carolina to Germany, where her husband was stationed in the military. As she checked in at the airport, the security agent asked some standard security questions. "Has anyone given you any packages that you didn't pack yourself?" he asked. She replied that her mother-in-law had given her a package to take to her son. The agent looked at her carefully and asked, "Does she like you?" A blonde, looking to make some extra cash, decided to do odd jobs around her rich neighborhood. At the first house, the man says, "You can paint my porch." "How much?" $50, she replies. He agrees, hands her the paint and brushes, and goes back inside. His wife, overhearing, raises an eyebrow. Does she even know the porch wraps around the whole house? He shrugs. She should. She was standing on it. Not long after, the blonde knocks on the door. "All done," she beams, "and I had enough paint left to give it 2 coats." The man, impressed, starts pulling out the cash, when she adds with a smile, "Oh, and by the way, it's not a porch. It's a Lexus." Still laughing. Tag someone who'd totally do this. Bill and Marla thought they had come up with a clever plan for a little alone time one Sunday afternoon, even though their 12-year-old son was home. They sent him out to the balcony and told him to report on what was going on in the neighborhood. So the kid starts narrating like a news anchor. A car's getting towed from the parking lot. An ambulance just went by. The Andersons have company. Matt's got a new bike. And then, the Coopers are having alone time too. Mom and Dad sit straight up. "Wait, how do you know that?" The kid calmly replies, "Their son is standing on the balcony too." A woman walked into the police station with her next-door neighbor to report her husband missing. The officer asked for a description. She said, "Hey, he's 35, 6'4", dark wavy hair, dreamy brown eyes, athletic build, soft-spoken, and just wonderful with the kids." Her neighbor looked stunned and blurted out, "What? Your husband is 5'4", but has a beer belly, yells all the time, and the kids run when they see him." The wife calmly smiled and said, "I know, but who wants him back?" An elderly couple, fresh off their 50th wedding anniversary, were sitting peacefully on the porch, each rocking in their chairs and reading. Out of nowhere, the wife reaches over and smacks her husband across the head, then calmly returns to her knitting. Stunned, the husband asks, "What was that for?" She replies, "That's for 50 years of less than stellar romance." He shrugs and goes back to his newspaper. A few minutes later, he puts it down, looks at her, and gives her a gentle whack on the head. Now she's the one shocked. "What was that for?" she asks. Without even looking up, he says, "That's for knowing the difference." A fancy city lawyer was driving through the countryside when he spotted a beautiful apple tree on a farm. Tempted, he pulled over, jumped the fence, and grabbed a shiny red apple. Just as he took a bite, an old farmer pulled up on his tractor. "Hey there, son," the farmer said. "That's my tree. You can't just take my apples." The lawyer smirked. "I'm one of the top attorneys in the city. I could sue you for this whole farm if I wanted." The farmer chuckled. "Well, out here, we don't do lawsuits. We settle things with the country code." "The country code?" the lawyer asked. Yep, said the farmer. We take turns kicking each other. First one to give up loses. The lawyer, thinking he could handle an old man, agreed. The farmer, wearing thick steel-toed boots, wound up and kicked the lawyer straight in the gut. The lawyer doubled over, gasping for air. After a few minutes, he finally straightened up and gritted his teeth. All right, old man, now it's my turn. The farmer grinned and tipped his hat. Nah, I give up. Enjoy the apple. A guy decides to try his hand at hunting. He buys a rifle, gets a bear license, and heads into the woods. Before long, he spots a small brown bear, takes aim, fires, bullseye. But just as he's admiring his work, he feels a tap on his shoulder. He turns to find a large black bear glaring at him. That was my buddy, the bear says. Now you have two options. Either I give you a serious beating, or we do things my way. The hunter wakes up a few weeks later in the hospital, bruised, bandaged, and deeply regretting his choices. Determined, he grabs his gear and heads back into the woods. He finds that black bear and takes it down. But again, tap, tap, tap on the shoulder. He turns to see a massive grizzly. You took out my friend, says the grizzly. Now, same deal, a mauling, or we do it my way. A few months later, after intensive care and a whole lot of therapy, the guy is out of the hospital. Again. And he's not giving up. He storms back into the woods and finds the grizzly. Bam! One shot, then another tap. He turns around and sees the largest polar bear he's ever laid eyes on. The bear sighs and says, Buddy, let's be honest. You're not really here for the hunting, are you? An old man goes to a doctor in town for his first physical. When the doctor asks him how old he is, the old man replies, Oh, about 80, I reckon. The doctor looks at him skeptically. That can't be right. You don't look a day over 50. Well, the old man replies, I come from a long-lived family. That's on account of our turkey hunting. Every morning, my father and I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, get the rifles, and go hunting for wild turkey. It's a hard morning's work to be sure, but it keeps us in great shape. Wait a minute, the doctor says. Your father and you? How old is your father? Well, let's see now. I reckon he's about 100 or thereabouts. Still gets up and hunts them turkey, just like my grandpappy. And how old was your grandfather when he died? Oh, he ain't dead, the old man says with a chuckle. He just turned 125 this month past. Now the doctor raises an eyebrow. Really? And I suppose he was up at 4 o'clock this morning. Hunting turkeys, too. Nope, he's getting married today. The doctor gapes at him. Pardon my asking, but why the heck would a 125-year-old man want to get married? The old man says, Who says he wanted to?